So here on Shir 4, the fourth installment here on Rav Schick's introduction to the first Sipur in Sipurei Maasiot, we gave the contrast a concept called derech, that every neshama that comes into the world is on a derech, it's on a path, on a road, going someplace. Either we're moving from one particular physical position to another one, or the circumstances of our lives are, as the world turns, are constantly changing. And so subsequently, we're always moving around. He takes the word derech and he uses the idea that the word is number 224 in Hebrew, gematria. Now, how do we get that? Dalet is 4, Resh is 200, and the Chaf Sofit, in this case, is 20. It's 224. So if you take it and you divide it by 2, you get the number 112. 112 comes out to be the number Bucky. Now, he wants to use it for a drush, because he wants to say, and he has been saying, that if a person to actually fulfill his destiny in this world with Hashem, so that is for the neshama to fill its destiny, it must be a Bucky. What's Bucky mean? Again, Bucky is the number 112. And how you get that? Base is 2. Kof is 100. And then you have a Yud there. That's 112. That's 100, 210, 112. Bucky means an expert. So you have to be Bucky Ba'ayil. Rabbi Nachman uses the phrase all the time, but Bucky V'shuv. Here he calls it Rotz, running, going forward, and also going back. So the first part of it is a person is advancing. He's doing well with his neshama. His neshama is creating into it's in its own world, in the world it's supposed to be, and things are going good. But you have to understand, you have to be a Bucky in this situation, because you can't just go wild with it, because there's such a thing as Shviras HaKelim. That is, the vessels that hold the light of God can break if there's too much light. It also always has to go through a concept called ismatus, that is a limitation of the light. Because the light of the Ein Sof itself is a light of nothingness. It means that if you're exposed to it, you cease to exist, because it doesn't exist in the sense that we understand existence. Period. So that's a person. So he says like this: V'lechein gam sham lamala. When you're so successful, tzrikin hiyos baki. You have to be an expert, shu havaya elokim, because the expertise is the ability to be able to use both sides. That is success, kindness, giving, going forward, the open faucet that flows and everything is great, and elokim, which means din, closing the faucet down, stopping it. So the combination of the two is necessary to be successful in life. So this is really mostly helpful, and what Rabbeinu HaKodesh means, is that if you take this personally, he means you or me. He means us to think about this, to think about it over and over again, because the derech is a constant test of these two different things. Success, overwhelming success even, and failure, maybe even overwhelming failure. He said, gam sham lamala tzrichen lihiyos baki. So therefore, in the times of success, you have to have expertise. Shu havaya elokim, that is, the expertise is the use of both sides, which is what I said, and then there are times where your life goes bad. And this could happen in so many different ways. You could have fights in your family, between you and your children, you and your wife. That's shalom bayis. You could have problems in your panasa. Rav Schick wrote a book called Erika Payim. The idea of same idea is that a person has to have patience to be able to bear burdens in order to be able to advance. Bucky b'shuv. This is called Bucky in the situation where you're going backwards and not forwards. With a gevura, which is the concept of shaping something or limiting it down in order to make something new, it's painful. So he said, even if you fell into the worst imaginable places. Allah the hischazet b'yesa seisa b'yesa oiz b'kol mini refanim sheba'olam lo lehisyayish. Even if your life is falling apart, and we could think about ourselves in all the different kinds of situations, whether you call divorce or bankruptcy, or children off the derech, all different kinds of things that you could think of that would be in your personal life. But you have to understand that Hashem is involved in this Havaya Elokim. It's not coming from no place. It's personal to you. He made it for you. That there's no hope for you. You're never going to get to where you want to go. But you have to strengthen yourself with this. Don't let your mind fall down at all. That you're going to, the whole world, everything that you struggle for is gone. It's going. But don't give up hope in any way at all. Recognize the fact that where this is coming from and speak to that. So therefore you must realize that even there in this pit that you've fallen into, that you can't see, how did I get here? That Hashem is there with you. So you have to really fortify yourself tremendously. So this is the beginning of what the Rabbeinu HaKodesh said, that on the derech, I want to tell you a story. Siparti, I'm going to tell you over a story, a maasa. Shekol misha shoma, so that anyone shoma that hears this story, hoyelo hear her tshuva, started thinking about coming back. Because if you look at your life, your personal life, then you would realize that you are a story from the time that you were born and the time that you were with your mother, with your parents, with your family, if you were alone. But it's your story. It's your individual story. I don't know your story. You don't really know mine. I'll call echad over masha over, because different kinds of circumstances, the world, as they say, keeps turning, and every day is a new set of circumstances. And Avos will call Maasechos B'Sefer Nichtavim. The truth is that everything that we do in this world, all of the actions, all of the story, the things that impact you, all the things that hit you, all the things that elevate you, all of them are all written down. Because the circumstances are not created by you. That there is a sefer in Pnimius of reality in which your story is being written. The person that's a tzaddik becomes aware of this. He wakes himself up from the sleep in the world. That is Rabbeinu HaKodesh. That he wants to let you know that you are a story. You are a tale which is being told. He says this in the Kuti Maran, Chelik Aleph, Siman Samach, because by telling stories and started thinking about the tales. Now, you should understand that the Ari is also deeply involved in the concept of the story, but it's a story of secrets. So here, the Rabbeinu HaKodesh is using some of it to try to bring it personally home to us. So he says that the Maasiyos Ma'oranim Hashena, that stories wake us up out of our sleep. So the tzaddik wants to awaken in us that every single thing that's happening to you in the world, whether you're sitting and waiting and you're listening to me, or that your wife is talking to you, or your children are talking to you, or your business is talking to you, whatever it is, that this is all part of a story that is being written. So whatever it is, it's a story by itself. There are stories within stories, within stories, within stories. But you have to understand, you're not alone here. That there are olomos that are much higher that are connected to you. You know, the Kabbalistic metaphor of an onion. That somehow if you looked at the core of an onion, you would see that the very beginning of the onion is a tiny little seed. That seed develops layers around itself, around itself, around itself. Everything grows out of that little seed. But if you looked into the seed, you would see that things you can't see. there's also seeds within seeds within seeds, and each one of them has their layers and layers and layers. And somewhere back there in the very deepest part of it is an inspiration that got it to start growing in the first place. They're all connected. But being on the outside of the onion, which is where we live, it's not so easy to be able to see that. So we have a Rabbeinu Kodesh here who's wants to come and tell us, look, your life is a story of circles and circles and circles inside that had a beginning this place. And let me tell you that you need to look at that story and realize where you're at in the world. So when you start thinking about these stories, the stories of your life, you'll start coming back. You start looking, where did I come from? How did I get in this situation? Where is Hashem in the world? Where is He in my life? So after he makes known this, so now a person knows that it's not just passing things that are happening to you, but that every single part of your life, every single movement that you make, as we said, is written down, and there's a story about it, and it becomes a Torah. This is the Torah of your life. And when you realize this, and you realize that you're part of a flow, because Torah is a little bit of an idea of a Torah, Shora, Torah, Mora, all this kind of ideas. If something is coming to you, it could cause us to come to a tremendous amount of tshuva. Because a person doesn't want somebody else paying attention to what he's doing. You don't want anybody to know the things he's doing in secret, or the thoughts, the hirhurim that he has. Maybe that it's different hates that he has, or maybe different taivas that he has, different kinds of things. Nobody wants that, no. But when you realize that is in fact what's happening, is that your life, my life, is not a closed book. It's not my private little thing for me to do whatever I want with, but actually it's part of a whole connection to the yichud of the Kudsha Baruch Hu b'Shchinte. And so we're all a part of that. It's all flowing down onto us. That can make you start thinking about doing tshuva and wanting to come back to Hashem. Like we said, that he brings over here in Rus Rabbah. Well, you can see these wild, these far out midrashim, the Parshas Hey, Siman Kav Beis. He said, the Baal Kasel Lalamdachol. So the pasuk is coming to tell you. Adam osa mitzvah. If a person does the mitzvah, yehei osa b'leiv shalom. So let's say you let him do it with a full heart. She'ilu b'choyu Ruvain Yodea. Let's say like this. Let's say that Ruvain would know. Okay? Reuven's a man. Okay? We understand the tremendous tzaddik. He was a human being. Sha'akodesh Baruch Hu machtiv lo v'yishma Reuven v'yatzilechu miyadam. That he would have known that it's going to be written down in the Torah that what's his word? V'yishma Reuven, that he heard what his brothers were doing, and he saved them from their hands. Saved Yosef. If he would have known that was going to be written about him, he would have barged in there any way that he can and taken control, knocked everybody around, and brought Yosef back to his brothers. He didn't do that. He did something. He put him in a place that he would be safer. Told him not to kill him. That's what he did. So if he would have known that the Torah was going to say, V'gam hine hu yotze the cross of Kosachel, that Hashem said to Moshe that Aaron is coming to meet you, and Aaron would have known that that's what's going to be written about it. Basufim mochlos choye yotze the cross, so he would have come out with a band. He would have come out with a tremendous band, a tremendous honor to meet Moshe Rabbeinu. So then we see from this that if a man would be able to know that everything that's happening in your life, I'm going to think about me. I want myself to think about myself. And all the circumstances that have brought me to this particular moment to be able to speak to you. If I want to think about that, and I realize that all of them are being written down, Zehu Sipur Shalom B'Sefer Elyon. This is a complete story, story within stories within stories, that's written down in upper sefer. Now remember that I say there's a rule that you could also say an inner sefer. I'll explain that another time, because whenever the Torah speaks in terms of upper and lower, you could also have the same concept of what we call panemios, inside, the inner essence, because look at the onion. The onion grows from the inside out. And chitzonius, which is the outside force. And so this, by itself, will cause the man to awaken himself into tshuva and want to come back and want to cling to Hashem and be as close to him as he possibly can and be as much like him as he possibly could be. And then he'll start guarding himself from that day and onwards. And everything that you do, if you could have this idea, which is also a thing that you have to work on, obviously. So you have to work on the idea that what you're doing is actually being recorded. This could leave you into tremendous tshuva. And then it'll cause you to want to cling to Hashem, to have that Hashem, the oneness. Let's suppose you're on the outside of the onion. Can you come into the panemius of the onion where the inspiration for the whole creation is coming from? If you could do that, you could understand your life, you could have tremendous, tremendous happiness. That's the main thing, is to enjoy. So that's what you have. The last word that Rav Schick writes is having. Spend some time trying to understand this. All the best.